Show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? He can beat one of those things!
Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
I'm Jay Reeve.
And today is our fifth Halloween episode, and our second of three with you, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Our third episode about The Shining will be coming out after this. You've become a little bit of our horror mascot. You've been on three of these. Is that specifically a love of horror, or just a specific love of The Thing and The Shining and those particular movies?
Nah, it's a specific love of horror. I love horror films. Even bad ones, to be honest.
Yeah, there's something about, I don't know. I'd say like there's something about like a bad 80s slasher that is still quite enjoyable. I always say the only genre that you can't enjoy when it's bad is comedy.
Yeah.
Because with a bad horror or a bad any film, you can laugh at it.
Yeah.
But if a comedy isn't funny, you can't laugh at a bad comedy, which is why so bad comedies are often the most egregious, worst movies for me. But that's an entirely different matter. I was just going to say this is our first John Carpenter movie, but it's not, because earlier in this series of Halloween we'll be doing Halloween. But beyond that, it's our second John Carpenter film. I don't know how you feel. I think Halloween may be my favorite because I just love that film so much and have since I was a child, really. But I think unequivocally The Thing is his best film. Halloween may be my favorite, but The Thing is such a towering accomplishment of filmmaking that it's kind and scale as well. Halloween is perfect in its own way, but it's a smaller and simpler tale, and of course it strives in that simplicity. That's why it works. But there is something about the scale and scope of The Thing and the tightrope of so many elements of it, that the fact that it is so goddamn incredible also lends to it feeling like his best film. I don't know. How do you feel on the Carpenter overall rankings?
Well, considering that I haven't seen Halloween and this is the second Carpenter film I've actually watched.
What was your first?
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, that's fun. I do like Big Trouble as well.
I watched that when I was a kid. I thought this film was fucking amazing.
It's just incredible. This was one of those where my mum recommended it, weirdly. I would literally get my TV guide on a Monday or whatever, and I would circle all the movies I wanted to watch. And this was when like Sky Plus and recordings had a smaller disc space, and I would just fill with these movies, and obviously everything was like multiple percent because you had all the adverts in it as well. And she said, "Oh no, The Thing's great." And I was like, "Okay, I watched this," and it was young enough where I didn't know, I don't think, the Carpenter context or maybe even piece together, "Oh, this is the Halloween guy." But I was just absolutely just blown away. And it just still lasts to this day.
This is probably the most scared I've been by a horror film in years.
It's that it's the paranoia and the tension. And it's the typical Hitchcock thing, you know. It's one of those famous quotes of a bomb blowing up isn't scary. A bomb under a table and watching the conversation, that's scary. This film has the bomb under the table for the whole running time, so it's paranoid and scary. But then it also has the bomb, because it's not just a simple explosion. It's some of the most incredible, gory, just incredible visual effects you've ever seen. So it has both. It has the bomb under the table and multiple bombs.
I think that the actual design of the thing is like the best freaking horror monster I've ever seen. And it's just like weird tentacle things. And it's just the way it's done.
I think it's so I brought back Tom's book corner because I've been on Audible. I've gotten back into Audible, but anyway. So I listened to the original short, and the whole genesis of that short, we'll talk about more about it later. It's not really a short. It was like 2.5 hours audio. So it's like a novella anyway. But the whole thing about the creature there is this shape-shifting element. And obviously when it got made by Howard Hawks, they removed that. There was a great critic talking about the film on one of the special features. And he was relaying this story of somebody talking to Hawks about the possible problems of it being this shape-shifting creature in, you know, not like, I think it was the 1950s or whatever, and just the practicality of it. And he just said, just make him look like Frankenstein. And then when you watch that film, it is just a big tall man with creature effects, and he drinks their blood. That's what he wants. And he may also be a vegetable. So there's a lot of critical divide over that film. The genesis of this film is that Carpenter, a big fan of Hawks. I mean, The Thing is in Halloween. They're watching on the TV The Thing, which is just one of those weird things because they were way off. But anyway, they were way off making it, and it was just one of those little references, or maybe it was the rights. I can't remember. But yeah, the crux of the short story is this shape-shifting element. And so to have an entire film adaptation that completely strips that and just makes them a Frankenstein, it makes it absolutely ripe for a true adaptation, because it really is. The body snatcher genre is so terrifying.
It is.
I mean, it's been done over and over again, but I've never seen, even in the worst movies, I have never seen a scene where, you know, two twins or two identical people, whether it's aliens or whether it's a spy film or whatever, and they have to do the gun, and they're like, oh, I don't know which one it is. Even in the worst movies, that scene always gets me. I'm always like, oh wait, but they were alone. And this is just that for an hour 50, and manages to keep that. God, I'm itching so badly. Anyway, and that manages to keep that tension going for an hour 50. It's quite a slow build in the first half an hour, but then you just away to the races for like the minute the dog.
Oh my god.
So what's your relationship with The Thing? Was this a first watch?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen bits of it when I was younger, because I watched the best bits of the commentary with John Carpenter.
Oh, great commentary, yeah.
Where I think, aren't they just like drinking and watching it, and it's really funny.
Kurt Russell has the most incredible laugh in the world.
Yeah,
he has this out. He's like, is every single thing that Carpenter says, it just goes, yeah, that was a good day. And it's just brilliant. It's just, and they're just great. Great friends, because they made Elvis, which I still haven't seen, which I do want to watch, because that's another one that my mum weirdly was like, oh no, that's really good. The Elvis miniseries with Kurt Russell. Elvis, Big Trouble, The Thing, Escape from New York, and Escape from LA. Obviously not in that order, but yeah, Elvis and New York, then Escape from LA.
Yeah,
I'm not missing anything. Yeah, that's it. And it is just one of those great director-actor pairings that people frequently turn back to. And the joy I think when people talk about the best director-actor pairings, obviously you can talk about a John Wayne and a John Ford, but John Wayne's doing his exact same thing in all of those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Every Carpenter Russell pairing, it's apart from obviously Escape from New York and Escape from LA being sequels, it's a whole new character. And I think you can say that with a De Niro and a Scorsese and all those things. It's like these, I love when director and actors pair together and the actor is doing an absolute completely different thing. Now there is some close resemblance between Snake Plissken and MacReady, but MacReady is so much more realistic, whereas Escape from New York sort of has that dark cynicism, slightly, no, absurdist is strong, but like slightly, slightly. You'd like Escape from New York, I think. I think you'd like that. But yeah, the thing. What's your? I mean, I think I know the answer because who doesn't? But are you a Kurt Russell fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not be?
I know. He's what man?
No, you know, absolute God.
He was fantastic in this.
He's fantastic in this. Fantastic. Do you have a personal favorite Kurt Russell performance? Probably, I'd say this, unless I'm. Oh, I did love Hateful Eight though.
Yeah,
He was excellent in Hateful Eight.
Yeah. He was the best part of Death Proof.
Yes, he most certainly was. And he's also, of course, great in, now Bone Tomahawk. Now that is an excellent, excellent film. I'm going to tell you nothing, but I do love Bone Tomahawk. Tombstone's great, obviously. With that snake gun. Oh, what does he say? With that metal gun. Oh, I can't remember, but he's very good in. Backdraft, another movie that my mum randomly was like, you need to watch Backdraft. Silkwood is great.
Furious 9.
Yeah, he's Mr. Nobody, isn't he?
I don't know, I haven't seen it. But
yeah, I don't. An Unlawful Entry, great movie with Ray Liotta and Madeleine Stowe. Nice. It doesn't get too erotic. It's more of a from hell thriller than an erotic thriller. But I very much enjoy. I love 90s, 80s thrillers. I love them.
He played Elvis in Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Oh
he's the guy, hey, you got some real good moves, kid.
Yeah.
Because, quiz question, who plays Elvis, also uncredited, in True Romance?
Is it also Kurt Russell?
No, it's a Tombstone co-star of Kurt Russell.
I give up.
Val Kilmer.
Oh my god.
That's another good little Elvis impression.
Yeah.
I do want to watch that Elvis. I'll probably end up watching it before this new Baz Luhrmann Elvis with Tom Hanks and Tex. No, it's dumber than that. Tex, that's it. Great stuff. Oh, another great Kurt Russell performance. Get your shit. Get off my lot. I don't like the vibe he brings to a set because he killed his fucking wife, Rick. Oh, great stuff. What the fuck did you do to my car? Anyway, we cannot do it Once Upon a Time in Hollywood tangent, or else we'll be here for multiple hours. So, what did you know of The Thing then?
I remembered that it was a shape-shifting alien.
Right, yeah.
And they were set in Antarctica.
But you didn't know any of the twists or the shifts or anything?
No, because I think it's been so long since I watched like the director's commentary stuff.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
I could. I wish I could go back. Let's start on a negative note. So this was just a huge box office failure. Budget of 15 million, 19 million Oh, that's the North American box office. I don't know, but it was just a huge bomb. In the commentary, they talk about how it came out 2 weeks after E.T. Lots of people have kind of said, oh, you know, people didn't want a evil alien after E.T. I think that's kind of, I mean, there is probably some truth in there.
Yeah.
I think, but it's a little bit cute and it's a little bit anachronistic. I think the fundamental thing, and we see this even now, this is a deep, dark, gruesome, gory movie. And when people say like it has a downbeat ending, people don't know that when they go into a cinema. So I don't know why people cite the ending as the. I mean, I guess for return viewings, I guess, but it is just a grisly movie. And all the reviews at the time. I mean, I didn't get any specific ones, but I've heard them so many times. They just all cited it as just a gore fest.
Yeah,
just a glorified gore fest. Blood and guts and gizzards movie, with just no craft to it, and yet watching it yesterday for the millionth time, the craft in every single decision. I'm going to say one of my best single minutes now, and it's just a small proper. This like is the definition of a best single minute, and it's just the dog walking through the corridors slowly, and all we have underneath him is the whir of the wind and just those slow panning shots of the dog walking through the corridor and eventually finding the shadow of a man, and the man just turns, the dog walks in, and we fade to black. And it's just such an elegant, beautiful shot. I don't, and another review, I can't remember the exact critic, talking about the characters. I don't know what the movie, I mean, I do know what the movie landscape was like in '82, but like, I don't know how I guess we've come to it knowing it now as this great cult film, and it's had this critical reappraisal, and it is now one of the best films of all time. But I don't know what, sitting down and watching this for the first time, how you wouldn't just go, oh no, these are all very different characters. It's a great ensemble. It's so well written. I don't know how you'd ignore that or miss that. And the effects would only look better on a shittier screen. They look great now on a Blu-ray. They still hold up. There's no moments where they look bad, but they'll only look better on a big screen with not shitty film, but like a little bit blurry projection. They'll only look better. So I've never understood it. I know that people have their own opinions, but I don't know. I maybe there is some truth to this ET thing. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe. What year was it out? Was
82? 82. It was the same summer of Blade Runner, ET, and The Thing.
Maybe
Blade Runner was another one, obviously, just complete critical commercial bomb.
Yeah. I think maybe it is just the dark tone or something. I don't know. I mean, it's really weird because I don't really see how like so many people could watch it and be like, okay, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah.
I
guess you leave. I mean, on a first watch, I mean, this is the case with all ambiguous endings throughout the history of time. But like the first time you watch an ambiguous ending, apart from Inception, which was just like a lightning rod in the culture, more time than not, people go, "Oh, was that it?" Like that happens so many times. I call them. I find this a lot with 88. Christ, 82. Why am I trying to say
A24?
A24, and I call them "don't cut to black" endings, and it's where literally, like for the last maybe like 15 minutes of Midsummer and like the last 10 minutes of Hereditary. And it was a bit with Saint Maud as well. 3 movies that I liked a lot. But for the final 10 minutes, every time there was like a really beautiful shot, I'd go, don't cut to black. Don't make this the ending. It was like, it's that weird thing of like, I remember specifically in Hereditary, when the headless body of Toni Collette like floats into the treehouse, and I thought, don't fucking just cut to black now. Don't cut to black now. And I do it.
I think I'd have preferred it if it cut to black.
before you are Agamemnon, you are the sun.
You are hereditary.
You really were hereditary. I'd advise. This is Agamemnon. He's got my back. I'd advise not getting your head cut off by him. He is the sole male heir. We had to kill the little girl. Oh God!
Good reference.
Thank you. Just works every time. That should be a new category. Is Tom's Ric Flair impression? What was the last movie we did? The Shining. This is Jack Torrance. I'd advise not being on the wrong side of him. He has an axe. His axe catches souls. Great film. I remember watching Suicide Squad. It was with my sister and dad.
Yeah. And
just remember for months after people saying, "Oh yeah, but the soundtrack was great." No. Get a fucking best of the 70s Spotify playlist. You don't have to watch. You don't have to watch that movie. Jay, I don't know if you've come into this conversation yet, but I have had a couple of times now where I have had to talk to people who preferred 2016 Suicide Squad to the Suicide Squad, and it's the most insane conversations I've had in some time.
No, I don't want to see these people. I don't want to talk. I watched it again the other week with my dad for the first time, and he loved it.
The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, that fucking rules. Love the Suicide Squad. Yeah, great movie. And it had Whistle for the Choir in it by the Fratellis. I mean, it gets to a certain point where you're just playing the hits for Tom. You're just like, I see you, Tom. And you go, yay. Okay, let's talk about The Thing. Have you seen the I'm guessing not. Have you seen the 2011 remake, reboot, requel, blah, 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 blah?
No, I didn't even know it. I had a feeling it existed, but I didn't know until last night when I was searching The Thing on Letterboxd.
Yeah, it's typical reboot, sequel, remake territory, where basically it's just a complete remake of The Thing. It's called The Thing, but it's the Norwegian base.
Oh, okay.
So it's a prequel. Now, it is fun in some ways, like the guy slitting his wrists and all that sort of thing, and the axe being in the exact same place. And there is definitely a lot of care and attention that was put into the film. That is completely evident. And actually, when it comes to like the long discussions about whether or not we should thaw out the creature, it's a lot closer to the original, not the original novella. But the effects are just terrible.
Really?
And they're all CGI. And there was this whole big problem because the studio that they'd hired made these incredible practical effects, and then the studio CGI'd all over it because they said it would look better. And I mean, now that you'll go down that rabbit hole, but like literally when the leaked stuff with the practical effects look insane. And that's it's just
I just Googled it and I can see some of them.
Yeah. It's just that typical thing of CGI can do absolutely everything. So we can just, I go back to Civil War. Again, Civil War, a movie I watched once in cinemas, thought was pretty good, and then never thought about again. But for me, that final fight between Cap and Iron Man, just those two beating the shit out of each other, was so much more effective than a million people, a million different monsters and all that sort of thing. It just does nothing for me. And I mean, literally Thing versus The Thing or whatever bullshit. You just call movies.
It's why the fights in the newest Spider-Man, which I won't spoil.
Oh yeah.
I think were pretty great.
Yeah, no, I agree. Apart from the last one where you couldn't tell what the hell was going on, but anyway, that's another matter. Have I told you about my theory of like literally? I don't know why they just didn't announce that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were in it so that they could film real scenes instead of having them in front of a green screen all the time. I just don't, because it was definitely going to leak. So why they didn't just announce it as the Andrew, get ready for this one. And then you can still like hide stuff in, like, don't put everything in the trailer, just have a little restraint. And then have them in real scenes rather than just green screen and like the most awkward. Everybody, what the fuck was that Green Goblin in the alley scene? That looked like it was filmed on like a Doctor Who experience where you can go on a green screen and go, screwdriver, which I have. I think I have that. I'll have to dig that out. Go, wow. Yeah, but back to the marvel of practical effects. Let's get into the body of the film. 10-minute stretch. I have a few here. Kick us off. Just the Norwegians shooting at a dog, and then like just dropping you in absolutely in media res, just absolutely the middle of what the hell is happening? Why are we shooting this dog? Yeah,
literally what I felt.
Yeah, what like. And it's just one of those great things. And again, we then have to wait or so, 25 minutes before that dog pops. Because it is a pop. But like, just an ingenious concept and an ingenious way to start the film and throw you completely into the middle of what the hell are we doing? And that's another nice thing with the Thing 2011. Like, that's obviously where it ends. And it's very like in Red Dragon, there's a woman here to see you. What's her name? And when it's movies I like, I'm so basic. I still go, ooh, they're talking about Clarice. even though he's 75 and it's supposed to be a prequel and he supposed to look younger. He doesn't look younger. They've just dyed his hair. But yeah, I like all that sort of thing. Yeah. Leading into the tour of the Norwegian camp, just a masterclass in just, it's like a haunted house movie there for a nice 10 minutes. And we see the guy slitting his wrists. Well, no, it's not. We find the corpse afterwards and the blood's frozen and it's these horrifying images. And then eventually they find these burnt up corpses outside. And again, and then the big block of ice with the hole in it, with where the thing used to be, and you just go, "What the hell are we in for?" And again, the big joy of the thing is that it's a new creature every single time, and so you don't it's the Jaws thing where like they had to hold off on Jaws. Again, I like the shark in Jaws. I get not annoyed when people say that it looks bad nowadays, but anyway. But every single time, it's a new creature. So it's never that you never lose the impact of the first time you see it. Like, of course, the first time you see the shark in Jaws, it's an incredible moment. But what if all 5 times it was a different looking shark and you had that moment again and again and again? That's, of course, the ingenious nature of the film, which leads us into my next 10-minute stretch, which is the dog cage and just Clark just shutting them in. Hey, good night, boys. Shutting them in. He walks out. And then like what? 5 seconds later, it's just and then this dog's skull flopping out. It's just insanely good and so random and out of the blue. And then obviously that leads into them coming in and the dog's like squirting acid at the people. Was obviously that was a complete shock. Was that the point where you're like, oh yeah? Yeah. I think as soon as it kind of like bursted and the weird like tiny tentacle vein things start flying around the place, I was like, okay, yeah. and wrapping around the other dogs, and then it just loves flying into ceilings, just like trying to get away into ceilings. And and then obviously later on putting down all the dogs. My next 7-minute stretch, I have Blair gone wild. I'll kill you, you don't understand. Nobody understands. Oh, but I'm sure some of you do. Just Blair going absolutely wild. In the novella, he just goes a little nuts and he's just like, one of us is the thing. We need to stop this. And then they lock him up. In this, they go, he just grabs an axe and immediately starts destroying the helicopter, destroying the radio, and destroying everything. And we have a lovely little single minute with him, with Blair at the computer, the wonderful Wilford Brimley. And he's just typing away, and on the world's best computer system, it's managed to figure out the exact amount of hours for this alien that nobody knew existed. And it's just that thing of, and you can see it in his face, and it's quite a expressionless face, I dare say. And you can just see in his face, I cannot let this thing get out. And that he makes it his mission immediately, and we go from there. And also that's where McCready takes a leadership point of, like, that's the first time we kind of see him, like, he's boss. Well, he like orders Keith David, and he's like, you go around the back and you talk to him.
I didn't realize until whilst we were recording this that was Keith David.
Oh, Keith David, yeah.
Jump out the window if you not realize.
Like a younger Keith David. What's your Keith David love? Where does that come from?
It's funny. It's you know the game Halo.
Yes.
He plays the Arbiter in that, who's like one of the second main characters. And it's kind of funny as well, because that links with John Carpenter, because he's a big video game player. And he tweets about games.
I fucking love John Carpenter so much.
He tweeted about the new Halo the other day and said it was like fantastic, and it just made me smile.
I'm gonna read you a little bit from the commentary here. Where are we? He's talking about, like, they're on about like all the flares and stuff. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna paraphrase because I don't have the exact quote. I thought I did, but he's talking about all the flares and all the cold and all the fake smoke, and he goes, yeah, I mean, you could do that then when people weren't, offended by cigarette smoke and all that sort of. And he's like, obviously, John Carpenter's a huge smoker. There's a great scene in Halloween where accidentally some smoke drifts through, and like on a HD Blu-ray, you're just like, oh, there's a whole just wave of smoke because he's just off screen. And obviously he just likes playing his music now. I don't think we'll ever get another John Carpenter directed film, but he likes his music and he plays his music constantly. He still tours with his son and Daniel Davies, and he just tours, and he does these great introductions to their songs, sometimes related to film, sometimes not, and he's just like, love is the greatest thing, boom, 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 boom. And it's just like, this is just the best. This is just the best man.
It always makes me smile whenever I see him tweet, and it's like something like about a game. Like, it's just this 70-year-old horror director playing video games is just nice.
I think it's one of those things. It's. I don't think we'll get a directed by John Carpenter movie. Hopefully we will. But it's a point of, like, he had so many failures, commercial, just huge commercial failures, over and over and over again. I completely understand a disillusionment with the industry. Now, yeah, sure, a swan song and a victory lap would be great nowadays, but I just don't think, and also the film landscape's changed so much. I mean, I'd hope we live in a world where a studio can get a John Carpenter dream project. We're going to give you all this money, make your dream project. But we don't. But anyway, Netflix could do it. Netflix produced The Irishman, a dream project for Scorsese that he's always wanted to do. Yeah. You just get, make these movies. 2 more 10-minute stretches. These are number 1 and number 2. Defibrillator.
Yeah, that was going to be mine.
Yeah.
Still
the best. Still one of my favorite jump scares.
Yes. What the fuck?
Well, it's one of those things where, like, jump scares in certain movies, in Halloween, that whatever the jump scare will always be Michael Myers popping out of a corner. Still scary, but that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
With The Thing, you have no idea.
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, he's obviously The Thing.
Yeah.
But how's he gonna pop out? And he doesn't pop out.
No,
He
brilliantly conceived.
Yes.
And this is all paired with the suspicions of Mac, like Mac leaving in the snow and then Charles coming back and all these sort of things. And he's back now with the flamethrower and the frosted beard. He's going, could be one of you. No, I know I'm not the thing. I know. And all this sort of thing. And then it's just the building tension. And then that leads into our next 10-minute stretch, the blood test. Carpenter said if there was one reason to make this movie, it was this. And that's from the original novella and is nowhere to be found in the Hawks movie. And it's just one of those things of if that's made well, that's going to be one of the scenes for the ages. I mean, it's pure Hitchcock, it's pure rising tension. And then you have this incredible Rob Bottin visual effects at the end. And then, of course, just a great button. I know we've all been through a lot, but I would rather not spend the rest of the winter tied to this fucking couch. I went to bit Donald Sutherland there when he's in Don't Look Now, and he goes, "They don't come back from the fucking grave. She's dead, Laura. They don't come back." Oh, great fun. Love Don't Look Now. Any other 10-minute stretches I've missed, Jay?
No, yeah. And just on the blood test, them all being tied together whilst it fucking turns into the thing is just like
it's worse nightmare material. It's worse nightmare material. And also, I like how, I mean, obviously it's just but it goes on long enough with enough people where you're like, oh wait, is this test bullshit? Are they just going to test everybody? And and it's the same with the defibrillator. Every time it goes on just long enough for you to not forget that there's an alien, obviously, but like for you to forget the premise. And it's another example. And just from a visual point of view, Palmer, who is the thing in the couch sequence, looks quite close to the radio guy. And obviously the radio guy then gets chomped with the head like the Venus flytrap, and the dummy gets thrown about. And so just from a memory point of view, I always kind of forget and I go, wait a minute, who is the thing? Is it Palmer? Or I know that they both die in this scene because they're not in the final stretch, but I can't remember who lives and who dies. Yeah, great scene, obviously phenomenal. Tom's weirdly specific favorite parts of the film. Here we go. Here are a couple of these. Just the incredible second title card, which is of course ripped from the Howard Hawks movie. It was, it's just a bin liner over a sketch and just burnt through. It's really that simple, and it looks great. I love Mac looking up at the weather as a reaction to being told he's flying. He doesn't say yes, he doesn't say no, he just looks up at the stormy winds. Mac's huge poncho hat, which Kurt Russell talks about in the commentary, was already set because they'd already done some second unit stuff, and so he had to wear the big poncho hat before. Brimley doing the autopsy. Just these great noises. Benning's ginger Benning's being made into the thing. When the radio man turns around and it's these tentacles, and it's the closest we get to seeing the assimilation process, and it's just absolutely horrifying. And again, it's one of those completely random images that you can never expect and will sticks out forever. And just from a visual point of view, I love that he gets caught halfway through. So then when they chase Bennings out and burn him, there's these, he's got these thing hands remaining, and he's not perfected the voice yet, and he's got and then the pop gun man, bad time El Capitan used his pop gun. I know Bennings. I know Bennings. That wasn't Bennings, because these are like the early stages where it's still confusion and what the hell's going on. I love when they decide they have to, following finding the blood samples, and they have to dose them up with morphine. And the doc, here, let me do it. You're going to break the needle. And then Keith David with the flamethrower. No, doc, he's doing a real fine job. I love that. Absolutely hilarious. How are you doing, Blair? I want to leave, MacReady. I'm absolutely fine. And it cuts back to Blair with the noose just in the forefront. Just hilarious gag. The tongue wrapping around the chair, following the defibrillator sequence. The Keith David blood test, where beforehand, now we know that the blood test is real. Let's do it. And I also like the fact that kind of, I mean, the whole film is built around the paranoia, but I like that sets up the possibility of people wondering, if I am the thing, would I know it?
Yeah.
And I like that element. And then obviously after the blood test, cut me loose, cut me loose. And then finally, maybe my favorite jump, no, it's the defibrillator, but my second favorite jump scare is when we're going through Blair's lair and Blair just comes out pristine, absolutely no cold effect, in his old doctor's clothes, and he's not been affected by the cold at all, and he just pops out, and then the effects of the hand on the face and sucking in, and the fingers going through the skin, definitely just wonderful stuff. Jay's weirdly specific favorite parts.
The end.
Yeah, complete miserable, cynic, like just absolute dark, staring into the eye of death. The novel is pretty. They kind of beat the thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they kind of beat. We'll talk about that later, but. They kind of just beat the thing, which we'll talk about. But also in the novel, like, they accept so early that it's a suicide mission, whereas that is kind of like a last. It's when they're heading into Blair's lair, and it's like Kurt Russell says, "Doesn't matter anymore whether we live or die. We have to stop that. We cannot let that thing freeze." Which obviously sets an incredible tension for that final sequence. And yeah, well, how did you first? Because I've heard every single theory of all time now, and I don't even know anymore. I'm just like, I'm as tired as MacReady. I'm just like, let's just hang around. Let's just see what happens. But on a first watch, how did you? What jumped to mind as a possibility for who's the thing? Either of them are the thing. What did you think?
I mean, I think because most of the film is from MacReady's point of view, I think my immediate thought was that it wasn't him. But I don't know. I've been thinking I thought about it last night for quite a bit before I went to sleep.
Yeah.
Even though I finished watching the film at 3 a.m. Woo. It's and it could be either. I don't think it's both.
No, because they just go, "Hey, did you kill that guy?" Yeah, it started. Oh yeah. Ah, this is great. Okay, right. See you in a couple of 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's probably Childs, yeah. In my opinion.
It's as good as any. It's as good as any option. It has to be said. Which leads us thus thrustly into I think what do we do now? Oh, soundtrack corner. Right, let's talk about Ennio Morricone. So Ennio Morricone, one of our greatest composers, and he's kind of doing a John Carpenter score. I've always found it slightly weird. And there was some bigger orchestral things that were scored but just weren't used. Do you know what they were used for recently?
What?
Hateful Eight.
Oh my God, of course they were.
Yeah. Which is obviously just perfect. Hateful Eight is the thing in so many ways. Who's a bad guy? Snowy Cabin, Kurt Russell, and all that sort of thing. And there were Tarantino, because Tarantino has these memories of when he was a kid listening to the Morricone soundtrack for the thing and going, what is all this cool music, man? It wasn't in the film. So I wanted to put that music into a film, you know, really, really cool music. There you go. I'll accept my Oscar whenever people are ready. Wonderful score. Dun, dun,
yeah.
dun, dun.
So I finished watching it at 3, and my girlfriend came downstairs because she was making herself something to eat because she couldn't get to sleep. She was too hungry. And she was like, Jay, the soundtrack of the film you're watching sounds like really scary. It's like, yeah, it's terrifying.
Spooky. Me and Ava, who was on the Halloween episode, obviously there's a couple of those classic Halloween themes, and we will literally, anytime somebody's just like stood, like Michael Myers, will go do-do, do-do. And this has a similar sort of boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, it sounds like a sketch when I'm trying to say the difference.
Yeah, it sounds a bit.
It's like it's like SNL, you know. Time I'm all out of cash. It's like it's not da-da, it's da-da-da-da. It does sound a bit like a sketch comedy, but all the same. Which leads us into best line. I'll let you take the floor, Jay. What immediately jumped out to you as a best line?
No, you start whilst I get.
I've already said it, but I'll say it again. I know you gentlemen have been through a lot, but when you find the time, I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch.
I love that because I was like, oh, is he going to say something nice? And
no. And then also classic line, you know, the head sprouts legs and starts walking away. You gotta be fucking kidding. And it's these little bursts of humor. And it's just like, what else are you gonna say? What else?
Oh, the Hey Sweden. They're not Swedish.
Oh yeah.
They're Norwegian.
Oh, oh God. I just love, what a great movie.
I'm a real light sleeper child.
I love this. This is like a turning point monologue, which I enjoy a lot. I know I'm human, and if you're all these things, then you just attack me right now. So some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies, nobody left to kill it, and then it's won. Yeah, it's just a real nice turning point back into the stakes of. I mean, the stakes are never not present because you're dealing with a fucking evil alien. I also love McCready before he does his blood test. Now I'll show you what I already know.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well.
And that's a line from the novella as well, close to a line from the novella. Gary, this is pure nonsense. Doesn't prove a thing. I thought you'd feel that way, Gary. They're my best lines. Anything else, Jay? Any other best lines?
The generator's gone.
Yeah.
And then McCready. Any way we can fix it? It's gone, McCready.
It's gone. I have a note. I have a note of this. I'm going to say this now. It's in change. When here we are. Yeah, Brimley being annoyed when the radio guy is trying to reach people, and he comes in and walks in on him trying to reach people, and he goes, "Come on, what are you doing? Come on, you got to reach anybody, somebody." It's like, you walked in on him in the middle of doing it.
I know, but it's like people in these situations just would be saying this.
Oh yeah.
Like it's
what the hell are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing? I am trying to reach people. And you don't need to come in and tell me.
We're in the middle of nowhere, man. Game over, man.
And there's also the maybe we're at war with Norway.
Oh, great, because that's kind of that character's or is that exact? I mean, we may have seen him briefly, but that's like almost his introduction. That's just a great line. And then obviously you have the great bit where he's listening to Superstition, and he's like, "Could you please keep that?" I think he calls it crap or something. Turn that crap down. And then he goes, does the classic pretend to turn the speaker. Lovely stuff. Any other best lines, Jay?
No, but I just looked. I'm looking at the IMDb quotes.
Oh, yes.
And obviously it doesn't translate this, but it says the Norwegian passenger with the rifle.
Okay, yeah.
Says in Norwegian, "Get the hell away. That's not a dog. It's some sort of thing. It's imitating a dog. It isn't real. Get away, you idiots."
Yeah, that's true. And it's like maybe this as a movie is a startling indictment of the American complex. And,
yes.
And the inability for us to communicate with other countries. If any of them knew Swedish, then they would be out of this situation. And that's as well as the story goes. But that Swedish man knows no English at all. This is just me being an ignorant guy who knows one language. But
you mean Norwegian, Tom?
Norwegian, yes, I do mean Norwegian. Too much McCready. But that Norwegian, because in The Thing 2011, they're all English. Now, I don't know whether it's like Schindler's List, where they're all actually German, but they're all speaking English. I can't remember. But
right.
He doesn't know just a little bit of English to say, that dog is bad. Also, maybe, just don't shoot from the off and just go, okay. I don't speak English. I mean, he can't say that, but just like, oh, bad dog. Or something. I don't know. But
the dog is ill.
Ill dog. Ill dog. Burn dog alive. This is literally like an Apprentice when the guy was talking to people in the Emirates in Dubai, and he was just speaking in English with the voice and just going, "Fly away, big bird," and it's just like everybody's done that, and it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, "Oh no, I've done that." Not that egregiously. Which then brings us to best single minutes. Here are my nominations. I love our introduction to McCready. Checkmate. Cheating bitch. Which is a change, because let's just face it, they don't know that that's the last game of chess they'll ever play. In reality, they're there for another year. And it's just blew it up now. Although it is an incredible introduction, and I just love the sparks, the JD into the computer and the sparks, and that's a voice cameo from Adrienne Barbeau, who was Carpenter's wife at the time. Before I do my other three nominations, do you have a nomination for single minute, Jay?
The dog bursting.
Yeah,
obviously. When he runs out on fire and then starts screaming. We mentioned it, but that was creepy.
I have here shooting Clark dead. I mean, all of these paranoid movies, you need to have the wrong kill. You need to have the human who gets killed, and that's just a great bit. And then obviously Keith David's line later. So Clark was human, huh? Which makes you a murderer, don't it? And sorry, again, bring home the stakes. I'm on McCready's side. I'm sorry. Don't try and stab him.
Exactly.
Because if he is the Thing, he's got a flamethrower. He'd just burn you all.
Exactly.
But anyway, and then later on, starting to warm things up around here, and just the blowing up of everything. And it's just, again, we're back, because it's not just the practical monster effects. it's the practical explosions and the fire and the really blowing that place up, and it just is works so well and is so great. Jay, any other best single minutes?
I think I'll leave it there.
Yeah. What's the change? Let's get a little negative. I've already talked about a couple. How do you feel about the opening spaceship?
That is what my change was going to be.
Yeah. It's just,
yeah.
It's just one of those, it's just like not needed.
Yeah. I feel like so much of the film's effects are incredible.
Yeah. And it's just, it stands out. Yeah.
Shit UFO.
And I've put here, possibly trying to tie it back to the bad effects of the 50s, but I don't believe that. I'm just trying to defend one of my favorite films. I don't actually believe that. The world's worst grenade throw backwards. It's just like, come on. Oh yeah, and then this has been one that's always annoyed me, is when Palmer's in the chair and we're cut to him and he's shaking and it's the actor, and then we cut to McCready trying to get the flamethrower, and then we cut back to Palmer and we're immediately monstrous. There's not enough of a gradual, so many, you know, with all the other creation, with all the other transformations, it's a gradual thing and there's a little bit of the reality, but it's not gradual enough on that one. That's always been an opinion there, and it does just kind of look like the McCready shot is them trying to cover an effect, and it doesn't work for me. And also, I don't know how I feel about Blair making a spaceship.
I'm fine with that, but I think I'd be more fine with it if the opening wasn't the way it was with the UFO.
Yes, I think I can pass it off as these are these all intelligent beings and they could do that.
Yeah.
But also on a narrative point of view, it negates what we think we know about the thing of it wanting to freeze to death. What does it want to do? Does it want to freeze and then be found later, or does it want to get a spaceship and fly out of there?
Yeah.
Who knows? One of those things. But they are my changes. Again, I don't have that many, of course, because this is one of my favorite films. Why, I don't know why I am talking like this. Which brings us to, what's left from your notes, Jay? Anything?
No, that's
no. In my notes, I've put here JB and Smirnoff bottles from the early 80s. They just look cool and different. Then we have Tom's Book Corner. Oh my God, it's the long-awaited return of Tom's Book Corner. So my audiobook had a foreword by William F. Nolan, the author of Logan's Run, who wrote a screen adaptation that wasn't used. And he said, now, many people do like the thing. I have a friend who says it's one of the best movies ever. I personally preferred my treatment better. It's just like, oh, come on, just have a little bit of humility. So many critics have cited one of Campbell's biggest inspirations when writing the book was that his mother was a twin. And so as a small child, he would get very, very confused around his aunts. He would like, this is my aunt, and she also loves me, and she sounds like my mum, but she's not my mum. And that sort of stuck around. It also starts in the middle of the action. However, it starts with McCready and the doc, and it comes, oh baby, oh my God. It comes after they go to the spaceship, and it starts with them reciting, this is what we found, this is what we think. The way that McCready's described is like this bronze god. And I'm like, they found Kurt Russell and he could do it. And that's one of those weird things. Chapter 3, all of chapter 3 is just a scientific discussion about whether or not they should thaw the body. As I've already said, that the sort of the 2011 movie is closer to the novel in that they have this, they are the ones with the ice and they've blown it and they're discussing whether or not to thaw the alien. And then the next chapter it bursts out, and it's like they wake the doctor up and they go, your creature's gone. And there's a whole discussion about whether or not to. Huge focus on the science. Blair has long paragraph monologues explaining the science of it all, and apparently, according to critics, that's a huge trope of Campbell. The blood test is from the original novel. They admit that it's a suicide mission a lot earlier. The finale is still heading out to find Blair. However, they beat Blair. They call it the tentacles of an unkillable monster. But then they kill it, they defeat it, and then afterwards they go to Blair's lair, and they find basically the ending is, what if we didn't kill it? And it's making all these generators and anti-gravity machines, and instead of a spaceship, it's making a death weapon. And they talk about it having all the power in the world, and all I could think of, the power of the sun.
The palm of my hands.
In the palm of your hand. Yeah, and that's kind of it. I enjoyed it for the most part. It wasn't excellent. No, it was excellent. Just, I think I prefer the film. Sorry, everybody. Oh, sorry, diehard Campbell fans.
Close to a 7 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's close to a 6 and an 8. Okay, my Lion King review will be coming out 3 years from now.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about this alternate ending. I can't find it at all, but apparently they did shoot it.
Yeah, I came across people describing it last night.
Yeah, and it's basically a happy ending.
Yeah, and where he does the blood test in it,
and he's okay.
Yeah,
I don't know why they don't release these things.
Yeah, I mean they tend to now, don't they? Like you have The Descent, where it has 5 endings.
Kubrick would literally burn every piece of film that he didn't use. He didn't believe in deleted scenes and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I just think as a historical document, I know I talking about, like, just release it, just put it on a Blu-ray. Yeah. I'll buy a whole new Blu-ray.
Like when the Twin Peaks Fly Walk With Me deleted scenes, where it's like an hour long.
Yeah. I mean, Lynch's point of view with those was always, I needed to look at them in an editing room and compile them in such a way. I mean, this goes back to him not having scene selection.
Yeah.
So, like, I can understand him not wanting to just dump a load of deleted scenes like people do, but and release it not as a mini film, because it's not narratively, it doesn't make any sense unless you're watching it. Have you ever watched, like, I can't remember what they call it, but have you watched the 3-hour cuts, the fan edits, where people have put all that back in?
No.
I've
watched them on their own without the film, but I haven't watched the fan edits.
I would be interested to. I'll have to find a good copy of that. What was I going to say? Oh my god! I'm going to say this. I'm going to say a few fun facts. That's what I was going to say. John Carpenter has stated of all his films, this is his personal favourite. A tradition in the British Antarctic research stations is to watch The Thing as part of their midwinter feast and celebration held every June 21st. I guess it got to a point of, like, can't be any worse. Can't be any worse. Yeah. This sort of brings home a lot of what we were talking about earlier. According to John Carpenter, he takes all of his failed movies pretty hard, but this film's initial and negative reception disappointed him the most. Not only was it a box office bomb, but critics panned its gory effects, tone, and characters. Vincent Canby called it too phony, looking to be disgusting. It qualifies only as instant junk. Dave Kerr wrote that it was hard to tell who was being attacked and hard to care. Likewise, Roger Ebert was disappointed by the superficial characterizations and the implausible behavior, and dismissed the film as nothing more than an Alien knockoff. Carpenter was particularly upset when Christine Nimby, the director of the original Thing from Another World, no, Howard Hawks directed that movie. Anyway, denounced Carpenter's version, calling it, "If you want blood, go to the slaughterhouse. All in all, it's a terrific commercial for J&B Scotch." Am I right about Howard Hawks directing The Thing from... Christian Nimby and Howard Hawks uncredited. One of those things. So yeah, an advert for J&B Scotch, not great. But then obviously it becomes one of the great cult classics, blah, 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 blah. We know how this works. One day after shooting a scene with the flamethrower, Kurt Russell pulled a practical joke on Carpenter by covering his face and head with bandages and claiming he had gotten burned. Good stuff. This is the first of John Carpenter's films which he did not score himself. The film's original choice of composer was Jerry Goldsmith, but he passed and Ennio Morricone was composed a very low-key Carpenter-like score filled with brooding, menacing bass chords. Morricone's score would be dubiously nominated for a Razzie for Worst Score.
Oh, fuck off.
In 1982, before its release, Fangoria magazine had a contest. People were asked to draw The Thing to see if anyone could guess what it was going to look like. The winner won a trip to Universal Studios. The ending of the film, the ambiguity of which is now considered iconic, was initially another sore point on release. An audience member asked Carpenter at one market research screening who was the thing at the end. Carpenter told them that it was up their imagination to decide, though by this they were unamused, saying, "Oh God, I hate that." At around 8 minutes. Oh yes, we talked about this. The words of the Norwegian. "Get the hell out of there. That's not a dog. It's some sort of a thing. It's imitating a dog. It isn't real. Get away, you idiots." Again, an indictment. We should all learn Norwegian. Let's talk about some possible sequels. So Dark Horse Comics published 4 comic book sequels starring MacReady. And Carpenter said, yeah. So basically the premise of these and the premise of so in 2005, the Sci-Fi Channel planned a 4-hour miniseries produced by Frank Darabont, with him possibly directing. The story followed a Russian team who recover the corpses of MacReady and Childs and remnants of the Thing. The story moves 23 years later, where the Thing escapes in New Mexico and follows the attempts at containment. However, the project never proceeded and Universal opted to continue with a feature film sequel. We got that with the prequel, The Thing. So that film, again, didn't, that miniseries didn't posit. I've heard about this New Mexico thing before. Again, I think it's an interesting choice. Because I think a bigger, like, obviously the Thing 2011 was a prequel and it was a remake, blah, 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 blah. But it's literally the exact same film. Whereas the Thing in New Mexico, that's something we've never seen. Like, we've never seen the Thing in Heat. Yeah. And it obviously builds.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What is that? Tagline rundown: the ultimate in alien terror. Fine. Look closely at your neighbor. Trust no one. They might be the Thing. Anytime, anywhere, anyone. But I have saved the best till last. For me, this is one of the greatest taglines of all time. I often cite this. Man is the warmest place to hide. Such an unsettling, wonderful thing there. Commentary corner. So I listened to the John Carpenter, Kurt Russell commentary. Carpenter cites this as the first part of his Apocalypse trilogy, with Prince of Darkness after it and In the Mouth of Madness. Just 3 movies just ending in absolute apocalypse and chaos. Just horribly nihilistic movies, all great. They talked about it coming out 2 weeks after E.T. They talked about MacReady being a Vietnam vet and a helicopter pilot, and now he's an alcoholic trying to go up north to get away. That doesn't work, obviously. The minute Brimley walks on, they just laugh and they just go, "Yeah, Brimley's the best, man. Brimley's so great." And another thing they talk about is the fact that they were making this movie in '82 and they were reading these news articles about this new disease called AIDS. And they were sort of amazed by how similar it was in the cases of literally You don't know who's got it.
Yeah.
In those early days, of course, the paranoia around AIDS was so rampant and so much fear mongering in the news. And so, yeah, you'd go, oh my God, we're making a film about AIDS.
I think people were mentioning The Thing when COVID started as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
Paranoia. Yeah.
Except it wasn't as entertaining. Tom's big question. What's your favorite version of The Thing? Like the creature in this?
Ooh. Maybe I'm a bit boring, but I think the one that looks like a human when it runs out on fire and he just has his
yeah, that's a good one.
Because I think the wrists with like the rest of him being human and then the like demonic scream is just really cool.
Really great.
And then the dog.
Yeah.
Where it's like
where it opens like a flower.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of
also the little head.
I was going to say the little head. Little head or second stage of the defibrillation. So like the head, the guy's head coming out and then the head slowly yanking off and all that thing. If I had a least favorite, it would probably be the final, yeah, fuck you too. The final state of the thing. And I kind of feel the ending's a little bit rushed, but I didn't really bring that up in Change because I do like the ending that follows so much.
Yeah. It reminded me of you know the Resident Evil, the games.
I do. I've not played them, but I know of them.
Yeah. Well, in like the earlier ones, which were probably quite inspired by The Thing.
Yeah.
Like in Resident Evil 2 mainly, there's like this thing that's like stalking you throughout the entire thing. And then at the end, it becomes like this giant kind of
tentacly thing.
Yeah, thing that like, and it kind of reminded me of that.
What a great title. I like The Thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be underestimated just how great a title that is. It's like The Thing. Just ingenious almost. Well, not almost, definitely. What an absolute masterpiece. Jay, any final thoughts on The Thing?
It's a real good The Thing.
Yes. Yeah, we've not done any of the. We've not done Monsters. Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up or Monsters Are Due on Maple Street yet? Two of the great paranoia Twilight Zones. They're great episodes. Wonderful stuff. Jay, where can people find you? No.
I live at
Yeah. On our nativity episode, Lauren, we released where I work, that I live, which town in London I live in. We ended up giving away my ex-girlfriend's name for the first time because we were talking about nativity, and obviously it's sad boy Martin Freeman. Sad boy Martin Freeman, and it's like, Jennifer, my ex. And then everyone was biting their tongue, and I just said, we can say that she was called Jennifer, because they were like literally these past couple of screenings of nativity. I was like, oh no, I'm Martin Freeman. And now I realize why I hate Mr. Puppy so much, because I'm Martin Freeman. Except I love Christmas. How much do I love Christmas, Jay?
He really loves Christmas.
I do. Christmas is great. Jay, it's been a distinct pleasure.
Yes.
Moving forward, what Carpenters are you looking forward to watching?
Well, I've always wanted to watch Halloween.
Halloween.
Because I know roughly like the main idea of like with the dreams, and that's cool. Let me just look at his films.
I think you like Escape from New York. I think you'd be into that.
I need to rewatch Big Trouble in Little China.
Trouble in Little China's great.
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, great stuff. The Thing. next up on our Halloween is our very own American in London, David, talking about with me an American Werewolf in London, and then you're back. And then you're back for The Shining after that.
Yep.
That'll be next Tuesday. No, it won't. It'll be the Tuesday after. Anyway, October, Halloween. Jay, see you later. Who's the thing? Ooh.